and I work at the Los Gatos Library. And today I'm going to show you how to use the papermaking kit that is going to be made available very soon to all the patrons who come to our library and check out our materials. So very exciting. On the cover, it's going to tell you what materials you need to return back inside of the kit and what materials you can keep. And as you can see, for this particular kit, you will be returning most of what's inside of here. So let's open this up and see what's inside. So you have this wooden frame, and this is called a deckle. You also have this white screen support grid. It's really solid, you can't bend it or anything. And you have this really flimsy black screen. And you also have this gray cover screen here. You have a sponge. And there are 6 of these sheets. They just look like watercolor paper, but they're called couching sheets. They're spelled like couching, but it's pronounced couching. So these are sheets that basically absorb lots of water because your paper is going to be very, very wet, and you want as much water to come out of it as possible. So you're going to use those for that. So there's 6 of these. And you also have this little accessories kit. And what's inside of here is some botanicals, such as flower petals. We also have some fibers, like little yarn pieces or thread pieces. Okay? And also inside of here, you have 2 sets of instructions. So this one is the one that we made at the library for you. It's just sort of a longer version of this one, which came with the kit when we purchased from Arnold Grummer. So this one has instructions inside for how to use the hand mold and deckle. And then this has just basically more information, other things that might be missing from here. So feel free to use both of them or just one or the other. We do have to go over some other materials that you will need that aren't included in the papermaking kit from the library. For example, you will need a blender, so anything that's this size or bigger is perfect. Just a standard blender will be fine. And then you're also going to need a bunch of water too. So I have water here in a big vase. Most likely you will be doing this in your kitchen, so it's going to be a lot easier for you. You will also need a tub that's at least about 3 inches high and at least bigger than your deckle and your mold. So this is going to be perfect for this size, because I still have a little bit of room to fit my hands in here too, so that's important. You're also going to need possibly a few more sponges, so I have those here ready to go. And I like to use baking sheets. I have 2 baking sheets with me, and you might only need 1, but I like using 2. All right, and then of course you're going to need some paper. So you can use any kind of paper. I usually like to stray away from newsprint though, because there's lots of acidic qualities in newsprint that makes it not last very long. It yellows really easily. So, but any sort of like printer paper is okay, construction paper is okay. And you might want to grab a few different colors. So For example, if you wanted to mix these two colors, white and this salmon color, you'll probably get a lighter version of this. And same thing with green, you'll probably get a lighter version of this if you mix it. But you don't have to have different colors, but it's sort of an option for you to start thinking about what kind of color paper you want to make. You can also take a bunch of different colors and combine them. So you're going to start off basically by choosing your papers, and you're going to take a few pieces. I'll take a white and a green one here, and you're going to start ripping them into smaller pieces that are about 1 inch by 1 inch or 2 inch by 2 inch. I also want to add that it's nice to use recycled paper. So if you have any old mail or anything like that, you can rip those into small pieces too. The only thing to watch out for is that if something's printed on the paper, that will also appear in your pulp. So it sort of depends what kind of look you're going for. How that looks. Oh, that looks great. You might need to add a little bit more paper though, but you can see, hopefully you can see the texture of that pulp. And if you're running low on the pulp itself and it's very watery, you can always add more paper. And vice versa too. If it's less watery, you can always just add more water, and that's super easy to do. So I'm going to add a few more pieces of paper. But you can see that there's some chunks of the white pieces of paper that we just added. And it sort of just depends on what kind of look you're going for. If you like to see chunks in your paper and have it be really textured, then this is perfect. If you want it to be a little more smooth, then you can blend it for a little longer. I like to see chunks, and I'm actually going to add some pink too. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Okay, so now you can see better what my pulp looks like. It's got some little pink chunks in it, which is what I was going for. So I'm going to stop blending now, and I'm going to pour this solution, this pulp, into my vat. Okay, and we don't have nearly enough yet, so I'm going to repeat this process a few more times. And it's deep enough so that you can submerge this inside. So first, you're going to find a flat space in your table and set the white support grid down. You're going to find the black flimsy screen, and you're going to put that right on top of the support grid. and that's your mold. And now your deckle, you're going to put that right on top of the other two and lift it up. So this is your tool, your hand mold and your deckle that you will be submerging into the water, into the pulp right here. So now we're ready to make our first sheet of paper. So you're going to grab it by the sides and you're going to submerge it all the way in. Move it around a little bit, shake it around so that the pulp settles within the frame. Okay, and then you're going, as soon as it's sort of like evenly distributed, you're going to lift it up. And the water is dripping from below. Let's hold it 45 degrees. So that's your sheet of paper right there within the frame. So then, when the water is not really dripping much anymore, you're going to gently take off your deckle. There's your sheet of paper. You have your gray cover screen, which you're going to put right on top of your sheet of paper. So just lay it flat like that. And then you're going to take your sponge and drain out more water, which is coming out from the bottom. Okay, once you've finished using the sponge, you're going to carefully peel off the gray screen. Sometimes the page sticks to the gray screen. Which it's doing right now, actually. So mine just came off and I just went with it, but normally it would be stuck to the black screen actually. So I'm gonna get my kuching sheet now. I'm gonna put it on my baking sheet here and I'm going to flip this over down carefully and I'm going to put it against the kuching sheet like that. Then I'm going to keep using the sponge like this. Keep on getting more water out. Okay, and then I'm going to carefully peel this gray screen off. And you can see that it's working, because my sheet of paper is now on the kuching sheet as it should be. And some of it sort of came off, but that's okay. I'm going to gently pat it down so that's flat. And the next step now is to put another kuching sheet on top. Put one right on top there. And then you can see it's already absorbing some of the water. And now I'm just going to press really firmly like this with my hands. The instructions say that you can take a small hardbound book, put it in a Ziploc or a plastic bag, and just sort of like press all the water out. But I'm actually just going to use my kuching sheet and my hands, and I'm going to press really firmly, really firmly. So as much water is being drained out as possible. So there's my sheet of paper. I'm going to leave it like this and I'm going to set this aside. I'm I'm gonna bring my vat back in, and we're gonna do the same thing over again. Let's just focus on putting some botanicals onto our paper. So let's see how that works. I'm going to choose a few different items here. I'm going to put that. And as you're putting it on, make sure that you're sort of nestling it into the pulp. So that it actually stays on. So I like to put a little bit of pulp over the edges of some of the parts of the flower so that it's really secured on there. Okay, so that's good enough. Then I'm going to take maybe a piece of thread. So I'm going to take this, for example. I'm going to put this into the paper, maybe put them in random spots. Like that. And again, sort of nestle it in so that it's really secured in the paper. Okay. All right, what else is in our bag? There might be some other pieces that you might want to use. This is kind of thicker, but I think it's really possible to put that in there, and we'll see how it turns out when it's dried. I'm going to try to make some sort of shape with the copper wire. Make sure that it's flat like this so that I can place it in there. Okay, so I tried to make this into sort of like a clover shape, and I included this piece right here so that I can hang on to it while I put it onto my page. Some things that you can add are some words from old books. You can cut them out, rip them out. You can nestle them into the paper. Another way to secure them in is you can also just pour a little bit of pulp on top. So you can do that. You can make a poem out of these little scraps of paper if you would like to. So make sure that's nestled in. Maybe another one here. I'm going to take this leaf that I found outside and I dried it. I'm going to just set it right on top. I'm not going to worry about nestling it because later when it's dry, I don't think it's actually going to stick if I don't nestle it in. So I'm just going to put it on top, not worry too much about it. And later when it's dry, I actually want to peel this off and find an imprint of the ginkgo leaf. So we'll experiment with that. So I'm going to take off my couching sheet on top and sort of separate them. Also have probably a whole bunch of pulp left. If you would like to, you can save it so that you can reuse it. You can basically pour everything through a sieve and collect all the pulp, put it in a plastic bag, and you can keep it in the fridge for several days and then use it again for another paper making session. Hey everyone! We're back and it's the next day. I have laid out my sheets of paper by the window so that they could dry. You can see they are pretty dry now, so I can peel them off of my couching sheets.